Are you feeling a distancing occurring in your marriage? Is it causing you concerns? Are you having some feelings of anxiety or depression as a result of the state of your marriage? Now, as a wife, you're doing everything you can to hold down the fort, work, family, the home, but you crave that connection, that feeling of being a partner, and you're feeling lonely and longing for a deeper relationship with your husband. On the other hand, as a husband, you're seeing what is happening and it bothers you. You're feeling guilty and possibly stressed as a result of that. And as a wife, you're seeing your husband and what he's doing as something that, as he have stated so often, this is for us. I'm doing this because I believe that we'll one day have a chance to get the freedom that we've been wanting and spending all the time we've ever wanted together. Now, this is something that you're both trying to build on, but it has caused or is causing some concern. So the question becomes, what do we do? Where do we go from here? And that's what we're going to be unpacking in this video. We all know that building a business takes time and effort, but sometimes that effort that you're putting into this business, dear husband, it comes at the cost of losing out on the most important moments within the family, time spent with the relationships that matters the most. And I know it is a conundrum because a part of you know that I want to be there with your family and with your wife and your children. And you know that to get to that where you can spend all this time in your mind is I've got to put all this time in my business and get this thing going and get it just where it ought to be. It is an inner conflict, a struggle. But what happened is in the process, important moments such as a birthday celebration is missed as you, dear husband, is justifying your time away and you're thinking that you'll make up for that, or there are many more birthdays and you're hoping this may just be the only one, but sometimes one leads to two. Maybe it's even a birthday, or not just a birthday celebration, could be an anniversary, your anniversary. I cannot tell you how many couples I've spoken to where a spouse would say, man, I forgot our anniversary, and plans were not being made. Or sometimes you make plans for a date night and it gets pushed to the side because of the importance or the urgency of the work you're doing, dear husband, on your business. And it creates angst and creates conflict. And it's one more message being sent that it's not as important as something else. And even though what it is you're doing is important, it creates again this kind of issues in the relationship that leads to what possibly is anxiety and sadness and depression. Is understandably why that can be happening. Sometimes in the process, conversations feel rushed because you just want to get back to what it is you're working on. And so as a wife, you long for the days when you felt truly connected to your spouse, your husband. But as a wife, you, like many wives, feel a disconnect in this journey, this process is growing between you and your husband. You're managing the house, the kids, maybe you're even your own job outside of the home. And sometimes it feels like there's just no time for yourself. You can't get a break. You're creating space for your husband to do the things you know is important, and you believe in him. You support him. It's not that you are somehow kind of disdain towards what he is doing or detesting. It's not, but it's you're thinking also, what about me? When do I get time to spend with my husband? And when does he get time to spend with the children? Now, these feelings are quite normal, and you should not feel guilty for feeling this way. And as a husband, you also are experiencing this inner turmoil and conflict yourself, right? It's conflicting because, again, like a part of you want to be there, and but you understand the journey, and for you, it's a sacrifice. So it's normal for you, dear wife, to crave connection and support from your husband. And husband, it's important to understand that it's quite normal for her to want that, to desire. And please don't misinterpret that as somehow she's not supporting you. It's important to understand and empathize with that. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily change everything, but maybe some things. So the key is finding healthy ways to communicate your needs and working together to find solutions. There's a quote that I really like and is by an unknown, and the quote goes this way. It says, "The strongest and most beautiful relationship isn't necessarily the one that has never faced challenges, but the ones that have found a way to work through them." Hey, before we go any further, my team has notified me that more than 70% of you who are watching this channel is a new user. And I want to say thank you for being here. I greatly appreciate that. If you're finding this channel to be valuable and receiving value from these videos, would you do me a favor and help me reach more people so that they too can find value in this as well? To do so, all you've got to do is hit that subscribe button so that YouTube can generously spread my video to more people. And if you are feeling more generous, you can hit the like button as well. And I would really appreciate that. Now, let's get back to where we were in our conversation. So, dear husband, let me speak to you for a few moments and then I'll shift back to you, dear wife. So, here's what I want you to understand and at least be aware of. Let's use the word aware of your husband. And that is when you withdraw to work on the business, it can leave your wife feeling lonely and rejected. This can hurt deeply and affect her self-esteem because even though she understands that it's a business you're working on, but she can also take it that you probably are using it as an escape. She may understand the times, but when it becomes every day, every free moment, and you tend to be running there and never take time for her, she may begin to wonder, do you still love her? Is she still valuable? Is she still important to you? Or is she being replaced by this another wife, meaning your business? So it can also leave her feeling sad and sometimes depressed about what is happening. She might even begin to feel anxious because she is worried about the future of the relationship. And it's got to be understood, dear husband, that these things are so. And if they are happening, try to find a way to empathize and not see them as something negative. Now, this is not about laying guilt at your feet because I know this is a farthest thing from your heart, your mind. This is not what you want your wife to be experiencing. And even hearing this, listening to this only add to your internal angst and possibly guilt. And please understand, I know this firsthand because I am have been where you are, or maybe I am where you are because I'm also in this journey alongside doing this very thing. And sometimes I experience those things I've just mentioned. And you're having a lot of emotions as well, anxiety about the business succeeding and wanting to reward your wife with the things she so deserve. She had been very patient over the months and maybe years as you've continued to work on this dream of yours, and you want to reward her so desperately. And maybe things are looking up, it's getting close, and you're thinking, man, just a bit longer, and I'm going to be able to do the things I want for her. And hopefully, she'll see the fruit of my labor, of our labor, basically. And she begins to reap that. And oh, how much you want that. I know it. I myself have felt that many, many times. But remember, dear husband, God has called us to be the husband that truly, as Christ loved the church and gave himself and made sacrifice for her, he wants us to be that way to our wives. And I want to remind you of that because sometimes we forget. We forget. And also in the scriptures in Colossians speaks about as a father to our children. We don't want to do things that that's creates for them this conflict or a sense of discontent or whatever else they're going through. We want to be aware of that as well, dear father, dear husband. So feeling torn is normal, but it doesn't have to come at the expense of your marriage. Both things can happen at the same time, and that's what I believe. This is what you're experiencing here from this channel. I want to talk to those things. And so I want to also encourage you, dear wife, is that your husband, he wants a strong family just as much as you do. He's feeling many of the things you're experiencing. He may not be sharing them. He may not be talking about them. He may not have the words or even feel that, he could, because it may create for him a sense of like even feeling guilty or more guilty, or even don't even know how to share his emotions. And so he's carrying that burden. He's laying in bed at night sometimes not being able to sleep because of the pressure and the burden and the stress. And oh, how he wants this for you as well. So the key is open communication and finding ways to support each other's dreams. So here's what's important for you, dear wife, during this process. It's important that you find ways to care for yourself while you're navigating this challenge. Because remember, your happiness should not be solely the responsibility of your husband, and vice versa, right? Because we know this, that we don't want to put our happiness in the hand of someone else. We want to find a way to be happy internally. And that's where God comes in. We put our trust in God. We get our hearts filled with God's presence, because people will fail us. Your husband will fail you. You will fail your husband. And many times, if you're looking to him or vice versa for happiness, you may feel let down because he cannot always provide that for you, and you cannot always provide that for your husband. So it's important to be able to create a path to your own self-care and happiness. Maybe you're finding healthy outlets, a hobby, maybe a support group, spending time with friends, reading a good book, taking care of yourself in other ways. And you may be saying, well, sometimes I don't have the time because my husband is so busy, and I get that part. But is it that you don't have the time, or you're spending the time doing other things? It's not that we don't have time, right? Because we make time for what's important to us, but we use our time to spend for other things, maybe legitimate things. I'm not saying it's not, but it's not that we don't have time. Is we may not have enough time to do some of the things we would like to do, and we may have to cut back, just as your husband may also have to cut back, like I mentioned earlier. You could also talk to someone you trust, a friend, a spiritual leader, a family member, a counselor that can offer a safe space to express your feelings. This is not to throw your husband under the bus. This is not about trying to make him out to be this bad guy per se. It's finding a way to you navigating your own journey, finding a way to get your heart at peace, at rest. And remember in this journey that you are worthy of love and support. So don't let your self-worth depend on how busy your husband is, because again, this needs to be anchored in God. I love the scripture that very much is often quoted, and you may hear this quite a bit, and that's we call the love chapter, right? 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4-7, where he talks about love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor, it does not seek its own, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. This passage reminds us that true love is patient and understanding. And this is not to say that you're not being patient. It's simply a reminder that this is what love does. And this is the love that God gives you for your husband and for your wife. We call this agape love. It's a love that goes beyond conditional things. It's a love that says, God, help me to love even when I don't feel like it. But we need to communicate what we're experiencing. And so when you're feeling disconnected, as you are feeling even right now, talk to your husband in a loving way. We just talk about what love is in a loving way. Share your concerns and your needs, but also listen to his perspective. Now, if you're liking what you've heard so far, or maybe not, but hit that like button, let me know. And also leave a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts so far on what I've shared. Now, here are some tips that I want to suggest for communication. Timing is everything. You've heard that many times, right? So choose a calm and quiet time to talk. Now, if you may want to hear more about this idea, if you're raising this objection that when is a good time, or my husband would say, or act in a way where I am disturbing him, I am interrupting him, and I can't find a good time. Well, I have a podcast that you may want to hear how I kind of break this down. And we'll leave the link below in the comments. I mean, the description below, but it's at the happiermarriagesecrets.com/podcast. You'll find that there, where I kind of unpack a little bit more about this. So I'm just going to abbreviate what I'm sharing here. Choose a calm and quiet place. Also focus on I statements like I feel lonely when, where it's not about blaming and accusing, where this defensiveness comes up and only make matters worse. It's sharing how you're feeling about something. I feel lonely when, I feel sad. I'm hurt when I think of. Those are the ways you want to use I statements to describe what you're experiencing. And also, very important, listen openly and try to understand your husband's point of view. He may have been trying to communicate to you in ways that he hopes and wishes and prays you'll hear him, because he's also going through similar emotions. Again, like I said, he may not know how to best express them. But what you want to do in this moment, in this space of communication, is working together to find solutions that meet both of your needs, right? Ecclesiastes 4 verse 9 says, two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil, Your husband's toil and work is your work as well. His success is your success. Remember, you're a team. So as you support his dreams and encourage him and make time for the family, and as you, husband, respond and reciprocate and find a way to find a space that is a happy medium, this is what you want to work towards, because God created us to connect with others. And so when you're feeling disconnected from your spouse, it's painful and it's not what God intends. So remember, building a business is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And working together as a team will help you achieve this dream and keep your marriage strong. I love Galatians 6 verse 2 that says, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Bear one another's burdens. This verse reminds us that marriage is a partnership and you're in this together. Remember, even small changes can make a big difference. Now, one small thing that makes a difference for this channel is you subscribing to it. So hit that subscribe button as we summarize some of the small changes you can make in your marriage. A small change such as scheduling that heart-to-heart talk, plan some quality time together, a date night, and most importantly, maintain short accounts. Don't bottle things up and let them be layered. Find a way to unpack them as often as possible, because together you can overcome this disconnect and build a stronger, more fulfilling marriage. And I love Galatians 6, verse 9, that says, let's not get tired of doing good, because in time we'll have a harvest if we don't give up. So don't give up. Hang in there. Things will get better. And I don't want to sound like a cheap cliche, but you know what? Better things are just ahead. Better things are just ahead. Believe it. Pray about it. Believe that God will give you the grace and the courage and the strength to believe for it. And I want to encourage you to do just that. Now, may the Lord bless you and give you his peace, both now and forever. And watch this other video right here. God bless you until next time. Amen.